The Transformers Studio Series 86 Core Class Exosuit Spike Witwicky was an interesting attempt to finally get a human character into the main line of Transformers. It's been done before, but they had a chance here to really do something special by having this guy become a Transformer, basically. However, two major issues with this figure actually prevents this figure from even being kind of decent in my eyes. I'm going to be talking about the flaws that this figure has coming up on another Transformers unboxing and review. Stay tuned. When it comes to the Transformers Studio Series 86 Core Class Exosuit Spike Witwicky, oh my god, say that 10 times fast. Holy fucking shit. When it comes to this figure, I like the concept of this figure. Do not get me wrong, I like the concept of this figure. However, I'm a visual person, not, along with being able to interact with these figures from time to time. However, this figure has two main issues that really prevents me from wanting to even recommend it to anybody. And I am going to talk about this figure and those issues in this unboxing review of the Transformers Studio Series 86 Exosuit Core Class Spike Wick. Oh my god. You know who this guy is. Why can't we just call him Spike Witwicky? Why can't we just do that? But seriously, let's get on to that right about now. If you couldn't already tell via the title up there, I am doing the unboxing and review of the Transformers Studio Series 86 Core Class Spike Witwicky, or Exosuit Spike Witwicky, however you want to refer to this figure as. I originally purchased this figure on Amazon's website. It was $24.95. That came with, since I'm a member of Prime, it came with Prime shipping, so I wasn't charged for shipping, just so everybody knows about that. Okay, so let's get on with some of the seller information. Currently on Amazon, you can find this figure on the low end for $16.95, it looks like. However, you will be paying $7.26 for delivery, and these prices may be changed a little bit because this information is a couple days old as of screen clipping all of this. You can also find this figure on eBay. Now, the figure on the low end on eBay is going for $9.95 with a $6.45 shipping price, or on the high end, which I don't understand why you would want to spend more for something when you could get it for cheaper. But anyway, $35.99 with $11 shipping. Now, this is also if you use the buy it now, US only, and new filters. And then you also select the lowest high pricing. Let's see. If you are looking for this figure, they actually have it at Walmart. On the low end, you can get it for, it looks like $13.09, and that is with a $10 shipping fee. However, on the high end, once again, looks like it's $32.38, but that comes with free shipping, it looks like. Now, this figure, like I said, the figure itself, it's nice. I like and I appreciate what Hasbro tried to do with this figure. I'm not a fan of humans in Transformers. To me, Transformers should just be about robots literally beating the shit out of each other. That's the way it should be. That is the way it should be. However, to gain audience and everything, they add humans in for the sympathy and the sympathy. How do you want to say it? For like sympathy not delegation, sort of sympathy audience, you know. But if this was literally just the figure, I would have probably honestly totally skipped on this figure. It wasn't until a couple weeks ago when I finally bit the bullet and I bought this figure, mainly for two reasons. For I'm a completionist, so I wanted to complete the Studio Series 86 subline. And this figure actually does have an alt mode, as you can see in the pictures. It's they you can actually convert this guy or transform this guy from his primary human mode to like a little like a like a some sort of like vehicle. I want to say it's like a rover, like a moon rover. I'm not sure exactly how it is classified as, but that's why I actually bought this figure. It's because it actually has that transforming ability. Now, there are two issues that really just stick out for me. It really sticks out for me. And I will talk about them more, in depth in the review portion, but this figure, it's lacking eyes. It's lacking eyes. Let's see, can I get you probably can't see it that well. Yeah, you probably won't be able to see it. The figure's lacking eyes. They did not paint any eyes for this figure. No eyes. So you're looking at, it literally looks like it could be like a corpse. This literally looks like it could be a corpse stuck inside of a robotic suit, That, and for some godforsaken reason, I don't know why, he has a huge hole. I can't really see it. He has a huge hole in the back of his head. I mean, it isn't like a little tiny little hole. This hole literally takes up over half of the head. And I just can't look, because I can't look at this figure and not be kind of displeased with it, to be honest. If it was just the hole in the back of the head, I could put this figure on a shelf facing outwards and it wouldn't bother me. It wouldn't bother me because I wouldn't be having to see it. However, the figure doesn't have eyes. So if I put it on the shelf, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to have to look at the fact that this figure does not have eyes. If I turn it around, it has a hole in the back of the head. You literally cannot win with this figure. This figure, honestly, to me, it feels like a little bit of a letdown. Now, as you can see in the comparison photos, this figure is slightly smaller than the Studio Series 86. I think that is a deluxe class Bumblebee. But yeah, so those are, I just thought I would do this little bit of information where you can find this figure and the size and all that stuff, as you can see in this in these little videos here. Up next, when I return after these commercials from the 1980s, I will be going through what came in the box. One of my favorite portions of the video, so stay tuned and I'll be right back.
How's everything, boys?
Thumbs up. The burger had a homespun quality I found entertaining. I thought the show was stolen by this saucy French newcomer. How about this Pepsi? I found it refreshing and exciting. A sparkling performance. That's 2 thumbs up. Oh.
Pepsi, the choice of a new generation.
In the role of the waitress, I found her...
convincing.
Yet gripping.
Win one of these critically acclaimed cars. See Pepsi displays at participating Long's Drugs for details. No purchase necessary.
Up next, it is my favorite portion of the video. It is the unboxing, because here I get to show you everything that basically kind of came in the box, what was on the box, and my feelings regarding what there is. So this is a Core Class and it's Studio Series, so automatically right off the bat, this figure's already going. You're not going to get that much. You're going to just get some decent artwork on the top flap, as you can see here. But honestly, Core Class figures never get the respect that they deserve when it comes to their boxes. Okay, Here on the side, we have Spike Witwicky. He's in like a running mode, it looks like, which I find kind of weird because he is wearing this this exosuit. You would think that it would probably weigh a little bit. So I can imagine him doing like a fast walk, but they actually make it look like he is literally running. Here's a zoomed in picture. Zoomed out again. I don't know. I took multiple pictures. I did, though. On the top of the back part, or the back of the box, I only took a picture of this part because the rest is just the legal shit that nobody cares about. You have Spike in his primary mode, or his human mode, whatever you want to call it. And then you have him in his vehicle mode. Well, let's actually go back to this. This is something that always kinds of makes me kind of scratch my head. They literally have him in, like, his, how is he still alive when he goes into that vehicle mode? I cannot help but think, due to transforming this figure, the steps you have to take, it would literally break his body apart. When they open that exosuit up so he can get out, his body should just kind of come tumbling out. You know, he should be dead. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why they did not paint any eyes on this guy, because they finally realized, oh shit, if he transforms, he's going to become like just nothing but like a glob of meat, basically. On the other side of the box, you have the zoomed out picture of basically him running. On the top, you have the Transformers the movie, and then you see him on the flap. What came in the box? Now, like I said, you get what you get when it comes to the Studio Series and Core Class figures. The presentation was never the high point for these figures. So you basically get the instruction manual, you get the figure, you get a backdrop which had holes already punched in it to keep the figure oh god, not restrained, that's not the secured to keep the figure secured. However, you remove the figure, you're gonna have the backdrop, but it has all the holes in it, so you're kind of fucked either way. Okay, here is a zoomed in portion of just the figure. Now, this figure only comes with 2 accessories. I count each one as one. You get 2 awesome blast effects. Do I have them here? Oh, I do have them here. They're actually, I have them attached to the back of the arms. Out of every blast effect I've ever owned, these blast effects are the best. I will give them credit. These blast effects are fucking awesome. These are what I always wanted the blast effects to be. For some reason, these blast effects are real hard plastic. I mean, they're not bendable at all. Whereas 99% of all the other goddamn blast effects, they are a soft, rubbery plastic that, if depending on how they are placed in the package, they could be bent and distorted. I've heard people say, well, you could use like a hair dryer to fix it. I shouldn't have to fix it. It's not my job to fix Hasbro's fuck-ups. If I have to fix their fuck-ups, then I shouldn't be paying full price for these figures. Worst case example is the both packages of the Dead, Ratchet, Ironhide, Prowl, and Brawn. They all came with purple blast effects. The longer one, both of these fucking packages, the longest blast effect in those packages has a curve to it. Because of the way it was placed in the package. I'm not a fan of that. I hate soft, rubbery plastic because there's always a chance it could get distorted or deformed or however you want to call it. And like I said, if I have to spend 30 minutes heating this motherfucker to try and fix it, only to have to do it again and again and again. Then it's not my job. It's not my job. I should get a perfect product out of the box. You buy a vehicle, and whoops, the radio doesn't work. Or whoops, the airbags failed to work. Did you have to be the one that fixes it? No, you shouldn't. Because it should be working day one. If you zoomed in, you have Spike Witwicky, in his pose. Here are the blast effects, which, like I said, I love these blast effects. I hope going forward that all blast effects are hard like this. Okay, I know you can't really see it that well, at least. Here is a picture of Spike Witwicky without any fucking eyes. I can't help but wonder. I'm sitting here right now, and I cannot help but wonder if this was part of their grand plan to literally release a dead human inside this exosuit. He's dead. Let's just say he's dead, He has no eyes. He has a hole in the back of his head. Maybe the hole in the back of the head is from him being contorted and everything when he went into automobile mode. Okay, so yeah, that is what came in the box, the unboxing and everything. When I return, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be talking about the conversion or the transforming procedures, or the converting procedures, however you want to call it. So stay tuned. I'll be right back after these commercials.
Hi, I'm Tony Bennett, and I'd like to tell you about the AM radio station that I listen to. Magic 61. It plays just the right kind of music. Nat King Cole, Glenn Miller, Frank Sinatra, and favorites by a guy named Tony. The right blend of music, great personalities, right, Brian? And you can win gifts like a luxury cruise. So join me and listen to America's best music, 61 on your AM dial. Magic 61.
When it comes to the conversion process for the Core Class Spike Witwicky from Studio Series, it's actually pretty easy. However, you know me, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I do not like the, the instruction manual. I'm more of, I like to watch somebody do it, and then I can learn how to do it that way. So I went to the best resource possible on YouTube. That's right, MGO316. He normally does these just transform it videos. They're seen as like a not compatriot, companion. They are seen as like a companion video to his review video. However, for some reason, he did not do a just transform it video that I could locate. So I used his review video as a blueprint for me to learn how to convert this figure. In the corner up there, you will see a link, should appear, where I recorded myself transforming this figure. Overall, like I said, it was easy. However, it still takes some time doing it for the very first, for your very first attempt. So yeah, that is, basically all I really have to say. It wasn't hard at all. It was not hard at all. It was unique. You end up having to twist Spike's head, or the dome, or whatever you want to call it, which is just it just makes me think more and more that possibly this figure was meant to be kind of like a joke. Like how they created the dead variants, because the guy doesn't have eyes. It's just like, oh my god, I'm turning this guy's head. How is he not dead, But overall, the transformation of this figure is actually pretty fun, and I hope you like the video. When I return after these commercials, I will be giving you my review, so stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Remember, dear, you've only had your license one day.
I'll be fine, Mom. Don't worry.
Don't forget your first stop.
When you stop at a Shell station, you get more than America's best-selling gasolines. you get all the little extras you may not find at other stations.
Here. I've never done this before. Well, I guess that's it.
Thank you. Come back and see us.
Because at Shell, we haven't forgotten
That was easy.
how a service station got its name. Shell. Experience the difference.
Okay, so we went from the introduction to through the unveiling, the unboxing, and the transformation process. Finally, we are reaching the review of the Studio Series 86 Core Class Spike Witwicky, and I recorded a video basically talking about this figure. So we're going to watch that right about now, and when it's over, I will be giving you the breakdown. So here it is. When it comes to the Exosuit Spike Witwicky from Studio Series 86, this is a figure that I really want to really recommend this figure. However, there are just two major issues. Three, if you really want to be nitpicky. This figure is just held back from reaching that upper level, basically. Hasbro, I will give Hasbro credit. They were able to take a figure, or take a human and make it into an interesting figure. Humans, in my opinion, do not make the most interesting action figures because they really can't do anything besides just typical human poses. Hasbro got around that issue with this figure by putting him into an exosuit. And then by putting him into an exosuit, they were basically able to say, hey, he can transform. He's like Bumblebee. He's like Jazz. He's like Ultra Magnus. He can transform. So I got to give them credit for that. But like I said, just because he can transform, I cannot look past the other issues. But I'm going to get to those in a moment. The coloring for this figure, it actually looks pretty decent. I compare this to what I saw on the movie, and to me it looks pretty fair. I wouldn't say it's like it's a banger, but it looks nice. It looks nice. It actually looks a little bit nicer on the cameras than it does to my vision. To me, it just looks a little bit dark, like kind of muted, I guess you could really say. The unique articulation. This figure has some weird articulation, and it's because he's in an exosuit. Like, to me, it just looks weird where the elbow joint is for this figure. It just looks weird at how it moves. It's actually it has a few joints. It has a joint here where the arm is, or where you can move the arm. Ooh, hold on. There he goes. He can move his arm. That is one joint. You have the elbow joint. You have a shoulder joint. You have a secondary joint where you can actually move this entire portion to give him a little bit more articulation. You have the head inside. You have a little bit of articulation with the lever that moves it back and forth. You have, well, I wouldn't say this articulation, but you can actually move the dome. You got your standard leg, which goes up to like 90 degrees, it looks like. Going backwards, it goes back 90 degrees also. You have your knees. Your knees can do your typical poses. Not that much, but it can do it. There is no ankle articulation, and there is no wrist articulation, mainly because this guy is a core class. Some stuff had to be, kind of sacrificed. Let's move this guy off to the side now for the time being. Here, boop. We have the blast effects. I do not know why, but the blast effects for this figure. Hold on, can I? There we go. Oh, I think it's because these are so light color. Okay, here, let me just. These blast effects. What can I use here? What about this? Will this help? There you go. There you go. The blast effects are a hard plastic, whereas the blast effects for everything else that has come out is like a soft rubbery plastic. These are actually rock hard, which I appreciate. Excuse me. I appreciate these. These. Hold on. I'm trying to get it to autofocus. There it goes. But anyway, these are hard plastic. I don't know why they made these hard plastic and everything else soft plastic, but I like how these are. If they re-released all the blast effects, like say in a special package, that they were all hard plastic like this, I'd buy them up like that because I like how these are. These are not going to warp. 99% of the other blast effects that I own, especially some of those larger ones, they end up warping and become a little bit twisted, or I don't want to say twisted, but they have a little bit of a curve to them, and it drives me nuts. That's why I don't really use them. But these, since they are hard plastic, I do not have a problem using these guys in the future. I will be honest, I like the alt mode. However, I will always wonder how the hell is it that he can be in this mech or this exosuit. It literally turns him into a vehicle. How the hell is it that he is not dead? They should open this thing up at the end of the movie, and he should just kind of tumble out like a big puddle of, or a big stack of meat, because he should be dead. It's just me. I know I'm supposed to just kind of let it just believe in it, but it's hard for me to literally watch this guy as his arms go behind him and everything. It's like it's hard for me to suspend my disbelief. If that was the suspension of disbelief was the only problem, this would have been a damn near perfect figure. Here, let me move it up a little bit. Here. Can you see what's wrong here, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. This guy has no eyes. They could not take the time to paint eyes on this figure. If that wasn't bad enough, ladies and gentlemen, he has a gaping hole in the back of his head. Why? Why does he have a gaping hole in the back of his head? I don't understand that at all. It makes this figure look even more cheap than, cheap. Besides the fact that he doesn't have eyes. Seriously, was Hasbro really, did they think it was a good idea to release this figure without eyes? Hold on. Come on. Focus. There you go. Did they think it was a good idea to release this figure without eyes while they also have a gaping hole in the back of his head? It just screams Hasbro laziness. And to me, I'll be honest, even though you can't really interact with the head because it's in the dome, I still consider the fact that it has a huge hole in the back of the head and the lacking eyes, I consider it to be QC issues. It is two major issues. The figure doesn't have any eyes. It has a hole in the back of the head. To me, when I talk about Hasbro laziness, this is kind of what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It would not have taken much time for them to have put eyes on the back of the head, and it sure as hell could have been prevented by having a goddamn hole in the back of his head. But yeah. But besides that, the figure is decent. It's just you gotta look past the fact that he has no eyes and he has a huge hole in the back of his head. The only reason I actually picked this figure up from Amazon is because I am a completionist. I think I have almost all of these Studio Series 86 figures. I have to go through the checklist, but I think I have them all. And I figured, might as well get this guy just for completionist, since I'm completionist. But if I knew he was not going to have eyes, and I knew that he had a hole in the back of his head, I would have most likely passed up on this figure. I would have been like, nah, no thanks. I am hoping that in the future that they re-release this figure, or they release a whole new mold where you can take off the dome and he has eyes and he doesn't have a huge gaping hole in the back of his head. That it's sad. It's sad. But that was just my thoughts regarding this figure. Okay, so I hope you were able to get some information, my thoughts there about this figure. Now, it is time for me to give you my positives and negatives. There were no pet peeves regarding this figure. So let's start off with the positive. The alt mode and primary mode, with the exception of the head. If you didn't have the head, or they, just looking at the body itself, basically, it's actually pretty faithfully represented to the source material. However, like I said, it's the head. You got to forgive the head. Up next, I like the coloring. The coloring, it's hard to really explain it, but not only is it faithful to the source material, like the figure is itself, except the head, but I like the coloring, and for some reason, I cannot help but think of the game Tetris. These colors I would imagine being in Tetris. Unique articulation. This figure has some very unique articulation, basically because of the fact of what he is. He is not your standard transformer. He's not even a standard human. He is a human, but he's in a suit of, like, a mech suit, I guess you could say. So because of this, he actually has some unique articulation. Sadly, due to him being a core class, don't really get, like, there's no ankle tiltage or wrist tiltage, but they try to give it as much articulation as possible, which I give them credit for. Finally, the blast effects. I cannot go on record and state how many. I'm always going to repeat myself. The shining. Let's see, how can I say it? The MVP, let's say, it's not the figure itself. It's the blast effects. These are the way blast effects should have been produced. Hard plastic. That soft rubber bullshit we get is not suitable for blast effects. They cause too much. The blast effects get warped and damaged. They need to be hard plastic. That's why I like these blast effects. Next up, we have the negatives. I don't want to. I'm not trying to, say that this thing doesn't have eyes. I'm not trying to be like, oh, he's being edgy. No, the figure literally does not have eyes. He does not have eyes. I took these pictures while the video was playing. This figure does not have eyes, and this figure sure as hell has a gaping hole in the back of his head. They don't even explain why this figure has a hole in the back of the head. They just don't. They do not, and that's what upsets me. Like I said in the beginning of this entire video, this is a no-win situation when it comes to this figure. If you have this figure on a shelf facing out, you're going to have the dead face. This figure looks dead. You have the eyeless face. If you have the figure facing backwards, you have a gaping hole in its head. I look at this hole right now as I'm recording this. I look at that hole in the back of his head, and I can imagine that's what Ironhide's head looks like after he went one-on-one with Megatron's fusion cannon. That's what I imagine his head looking like. But yeah, so those were the positives. Those were the negatives. Oh, hold on. Sorry about that. There's actually a couple more negatives. Hold on. God, I'm losing it here. Hold on. Let's pull it back up. There you go. And both of these the last two kind of can be grouped together. This is a prime example, if not the prime example of Hasbro's laziness. You're telling me that this figure went through QC checks, it went through planning, it went through, authorization. Everybody looked at this figure with no eyes, with the hole in the back of his head, and that you're telling me that they all thought, that's okay, no problem. He has no eyes, no problem. He has a gaping hole in the back of his head. You're telling me that they went through all these safety checks and everything to release a good product, and no one at all brought it up. When the back of the box say that these are supposed to be accurate to the source material, was there? I may be wrong. Ladies and gentlemen. I may be wrong. But was there ever an episode of the Transformers, or even in the Transformers, the movie, was there ever a scene where Spike was walking around and he had no eyes and he had a hole in the back of his head? If there was, please share it with me and I will say I was wrong. And no, I'm not accepting AI generated artwork. But yeah, so for this product, for this figure being from a product line that claims to be accurate to its material, lack of eyes, hole in the back of the head is a goddamn insult. And even though you can't really interact with the head, I still consider the lack of eyes and the hole in the back of the head a major fucking QC issue. It just boggles the mind that this figure was actually able to be released. And this isn't even like a limited edition release. This was given the mainline treatment. It was released at almost every store that sold Core Class figures. Hasbro cannot sit back on the excuse, well, it's just a limited edition figure. There's only like 5 of these figures. No. This guy was a mainline release. And that's ultimately what is sad. People spent their hard-earned money for a figure that is not even totally complete. Okay, so that was my review of this figure. When I return after these commercials, I'll be giving you my final thoughts, so stay tuned and I'll be right back.
To get to California, much of the fresh bargain brand chicken you see at the market has to travel across 8 states, about 2,500 miles. So while their trip to market takes up to 5 days, our trip to market takes only hours. California-grown Foster Farms. Now, which chicken do you think is fresher?
Okay, everybody, it is now time for my final thoughts, and I really, really wanted to give this figure a shining recommendation. I really wanted to go out there and say, hey, guys, you need to get this figure. You really need to get this figure. Now, I'm just a voice. I don't have any real pull. I try to encourage people to make their own decisions. It's ultimately up to people what they want to do. I give you the evidence and you make your own choice. If I told you literally what to do, that would make me a dictator, and I'm not a dictator. I can only show you what there is and then give you ultimately the choice. I wanted to recommend this figure. Because normally I hate the concept of humans in Transformers. I do. To me, Transformers should be about robots and robots alone. Them just fighting each other. Just beating the absolute shit out of each other. I feel to add anything to Transformers, humans, aliens, it waters down the Transformers, the idea of Transformers, you know. But yeah, I, you know, I'm just so disappointed in this figure. And the sad thing is, my disappointment, it really is just due to the couple visual issues, the eyes and the hole in the back of the head. But oh my God, there is no way you can even hide. There's no way you can hide the issues that the visual issues that this figure has. It isn't like you could take off the dome and paint eyes. It isn't like you can take off the dome and add like a filler kit. I guess that's what they call it. You can't. The dome is literally part of the figure itself. It's literally part of the figure itself. So you are literally forced to look at these glowing mistakes. And when people are paying paying to buy these figures, you should get absolute perfection. I don't see absolute perfection here. I see one of the most colossal blunders when it comes to Hasbro. You can't even say that this is like your standard QC issue, like where a peg is too long and it could break off. No, this is something that had to have been ignored. This is something that had to have been ignored. It went from concept to development to production to release. And nobody said jack shit. And that's what makes it so wrong. That's what makes this figure such a mistake. So at the end of every unboxing review, I ask the question: should I buy this figure? And I am sorry to say, but the answer, ladies and gentlemen, is no. The reason is QC issues and Hasbro laziness. What do I suggest? Wait a couple years. I put down wait a couple years. Hell, even wait a decade. They're going to possibly do a re-release of this figure down the road. They re-release everything. They got to keep the trademark. Hopefully, in 2 years, in 5 years, hell, even in 10 years, they'll re-release this figure and they'll fix this fucking problem. As I'm recording this, the Titan's Return Triptychon, Titan Class Triptychon, was just is up for pre-order. It's part of the Generation Selects line. Hasbro acknowledged that figure had hip issues. They fixed the hip issues. So I'm hoping that whenever they re-release this figure, they add fucking eyes and they close up the gaping hole in the back of the head. But because of that, I cannot in good faith suggest this figure to anyone. Okay, so that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That was my review of the Transformers Studio Series 86 Deluxe Core Class Exosuit Spike Witwicky. Oh my God. Fucking mouthful of that one. I hope you like this video. As always, if you like what you watch, feel free to click that like button. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, click the follow button. And I'll see you next time. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse. Wishing you all a great day. Stay safe, everybody. Peace out.
Think of all the things you could be doing. If only you had more energy. This kind of energy comes from food by eating a well-balanced diet with vitamin B complex and biotin, the energy releasers. To be sure you're getting enough energy releasers, take Theragram M high-potency multivitamins with minerals, rich in B complex and biotin. They're essential for converting food into the energy you need. So eat right and take Theragram M from Squibb with energy releasers. Unleash your energy.
Only one California bank gives you 24-hour person-to-person service with every checking account.
Could you order checks with our new address?
I'd be glad to.
So now you can update your records while you unpack your albums, only with Wells Fargo Checking.